actually give you a time? No, it doesn't.
No, I'm just being very cynical regarding this slow upload.
Oh, okay.
Turns out I was being optimistic.
I know. It
Just a
looks like
moment.
it's being sent.
That's a good thing. I'm going to check it out over on the. All right, we're on. Or it just says upcoming, so give it another second.
All right, another second. Um,
There we
and
go. You're on.
yay, we're on. So I've been told we are in uh round whatever, fifth hour of the
Sixth
Boston,
hour.
6th hour of the Boston Poetry Marathon. It's 3 o'clock hour, and hopefully we have everyone in the queue. Go to my little spreadsheet and see who we have. Hopefully, bear with us. Some of us I know you are. We have Timothy Gager, we have MP Carver, we have Joey Gold, we have Hannah Larrabee, we have Guy Dinalfo, we have Chad Parento. We know we have Chad. We have Lloyd Schwartz, we have Kayla Cash, Simeon Berry, and Joanna Furman in this hour. And first up, we have Timothy Gager.
Hi, it's really great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And also, I'm having a book launch in Cambridge for you Boston folks next Saturday at 2 for my new book. It's free to get in, and I've got some guests, so check it out. I'll give you a sneak preview from it. I also want to say it's 2024 and I'm loving my life. And 2022, I wrote this. I didn't want to call the 988 operator. Don't look up, the movie about the world ending, but watch the end. Meryl Streep is eaten by a dinosaur. You said weeks later at the farm we stayed at in Maryland, that was one of the good things from the year. And I said my last goodbyes to my father on that same trip. He died a week later, as did my demeanor when you left, me pacing the living room when all I wanted was solitude. Walked to the kitchen, then back, my head becoming thick and black as night. I didn't want to call a 988 operator to discuss the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event instead of how I felt, but I did. I called a 988 operator who only suggested to get something off my chest, but there wasn't anything on my chest. I know because I just looked. For my friend Sean, who died after my pet rabbit did, I wished myself extinct, like that Bronteroc. This very night paced back and forth and back and forth. That was a time, one day at a time, left, right, left me right here. What cannot be fixed? One, the Alzheimer's dreams of my father created a matchup between Syracuse and Penn State, football on a mud-soaked lawn outside the window of his hospital room. We were there, visiting, driving over the George Washington Bridge after something broke in the wheel, all seemed bound by brittleness, lacking adhesion, cracked, held by weak glue. Two, we were always so attached at the hip, standing by his bed that very last time, holding on tight as worlds were tumbling. How could our feet stay on the ground? I still can only imagine the crumbling of the paper. It sounded like Dad's hip breaking, my discarded love poem crackling when you threw it in the fireplace. The axis of the earth shifted. Every burnt ash flew away. After you go. We send to the sky our grief when writing letters to the deceased. We know where Joe DiMaggio go, but that's not real. No one makes our longings into song or into a flower or sugar. It's simple, Simon. God cares for the loved ones, though we're the ones needing it, left looking up with paper and pen, praying the messages received, if impossible, to address. This one is called Reflections, a 17-year-old drug addict 40 years later. The guilt after I slipped ginger root into my pocket at the market, easy enough to pay, hard because it's difficult to quit what I've always done. I want to stop speaking badly about people and places, inciting thin concentration within the blue thoughts while isolated into the lonely, empty echoes of lunacy. Remembering our bodies craving this contact, a hammer-on nail, fused wooden support beam, striking of permanence. God gave me a chance to beat this one day. On that tomorrow, I started clean. Two more really quick ones. This one was nominated for a pushcart this week. Star Island Night 1, 2024. The vessel delivered us circling seagulls dotted around the island's hotel, a hung picture, this, white gull, blue water, the calmness of the completed. Back home, where excavators roar, they survive to make noise, digging 6 feet down, covering up serenity with the dirt. There's not kindness to this burial, ignoring what we have laid down. Tonight, the water laps in polite clapping, while a bird joins the choir. Its perfect tone, a piece of the congruence. Swiftly, the flash of, can this be real? Damn, it can be. I'm going to close with something a little more humorous. Almost famous. Roast beef shops here tout their fame, and shit, their parking lots have potholes that will never be famous. See? Trees lush, not famous. Beautiful full moon, not either. Green grass conducting wind dance in spring. Drops of rain weeping into parking lot puddles. Not and no. Single unique snowflake twisting down like a knot can be famous. Stumped by this? Phone a friend. He's never heard of Brothers, Athas, Millers, Kings, Jimbos, Angelos, Bill and Bob's, or Nick's. All most famous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Timothy. Yeah, you said you had upcoming reading. You could put that in the chat so then people will know. In fact, if anyone's got any kind of announcements, like, hey, I'm going to be reading next week in Brockton. I don't know why I picked Brockton, but just put it in the chat. So that would be great for then we can all know. Thank you. Next up, we have MP Carver.
Thank you. Thank you. I hate to have to follow Tim. I'm looking forward to your reading this weekend, but all right. So this first poem is my attempt at a math poem. I hope there's not too many mathematicians in the audience. Is this it? Yes. Therefore, it equals this. This plus this equals it plus it. This times this equals it times it. This over it equals it over this. Moreover, this to the it equals it to the this. The square root of this equals the square. Log this of it equals log it of this. The integral from this to it, f of this, equals the integral from it to this, f of it. And furthermore, this minus it equals 0. 0 equals nothing. 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 This is it. And in the parlor of the Blue Collar Language Club, we open our pockets and find our mother's tongues twisted up in the lint. We take them out to compare sharpnesses, admire their dusty hum in the dim room. Back at home, we hang them again to dry like garlic. After all these years, they are still wet. Drop by drop, they drown the house. Later, walking down some foreign street, we catch sight of one through the glare of a stranger's window. Our mouths swell with love. And this next one is a persona poem, Moby Dick, Captain Ahab. I'm not shy. I'll tell anyone who asks that I can't stand the man. Who was it following who everywhere? The way he chews and the clicking of his peg. By the way, I had nothing to do with that leg. He got drunk one night, entangled in the rigging when he fell. He'd been up there looking for me, but I floated so low and still, a trick of the light. I didn't mind seeing him cry, hanging there. I liked imagining the bite of the rope that held him, its roughness against his hot skin. I waited long hours in the freezing water of those whaling grounds. No one came to save him. I could have spouted off or rocked the ship a bit, woken up the cook or the mate in time to save the limb, but the sea was too gentle to disturb. And this next one is an older one, Invasion. How come the aliens are always looking for us? Where are the stories about the ones who find us don't know what to do or say? How will they figure our poems? What will they think about our sprawling cultures, our medical advancements, our failures? To my uncle with Alzheimer's, everyone's an alien now. He's afraid of the woman who cleans his room, of the aides who try and get him to eat and shower. It's just him and the cat. Or was it a son? Who left that baby all alone like that? And who are these people? Some unknown enemy with their exigent, uncanny language. Thanks. And then I'll read just one more. And I just want to say thank you so much to the organizers, Xtina, Christina, and Chad, and also to everybody I'm reading with. I love this event. Every year I wait for the email, and so I'm so glad it's back. So thank you again. The state of it. The train cuts across the marsh. The fence cuts across the forest. The bridge cuts across the river. Our stone, steel, and electric bones grow and grow. Industriously, we rib the planet. The rib cage protects the chest. The chest traps the heart. Our hearts beat and beat. We know that someday they won't. Still, we can't help but think that this, too, is something we can cut across. Thank you.
Thank you. That was MP Carver. Yes, thank you. I wish I could comment, but I have other things to do like host. So yes, thank you. So the next up we have Joey Gould.
Hi, friends. It's really good to be reading here. It's good to be back in Massachusetts. So I'm going to be reading some poems that I wrote when I was on residency in Tennessee. And there are a bunch of Hebrew words in this first poem. I was struggling a lot with what people are doing in my religion's name. And I was writing all these poems that hopefully redeem Judaism to the scourge of Zionism. Okay. Mount Desert as first kids. Imagine Abba dropping them off for summer camp when they graze for boys who say, Baruch Hu, through the wires of adolescence, bracing for angels to straighten their teeth like patron saints, angel of ultimate Frisbee team, angel of requited plea. Meet me after darkness behind the mess hall, against the goalpost tree he pinned the sky-starred augur. Joseph, Joseph, is it really you? Said the Technicolor theater gay that night, and every time he saw them, he asked for an address. But he knew Joseph moved to Egypt, Mimitzrayim, the narrow place. He knew that, but tried to follow the stars that were just cracking in the new desert sky, a black slate blessing. That summer, he kneeled to them and said, Amen. So I'm doing this set of poems called Mount Desert. I pronounce it wrong because I'm a jerk, but it's Mount Desert as, and then a thing. So it's all about like going up the mountain to meet my ancestors. So Mount Desert as medical excision. You barely got to say goodbye at the bedside, then slept. The next day you say nothing but nice things about your pain level. They have to ask. In anesthetic lapse, you admit, I trusted my love like it could never misfire. The nurse says backhandedly, oh honey, no. The gall of the beloved to complete you. So inscrutable, above reproach, or was it approach? Augurs, the only ones to touch you this week were cutters, causing a slew of lacks. Body part, comfort, coffee. You feel the lack of you, one of your graces gone. Once you loved her constancy, you trusted a good job she was capable of. Years of help, years of a body that did what it had to and did it clean. You have to learn to live without hearing her voice, as impossible as it sounds. And I think I'm just going to do, I don't know, maybe I have time for two, but I'll do at least one more. This one, so when you're working on a farm, your search terms end up like really special. And so this one is about, it's just a bunch of search terms. How to catch sheep. Sheep hog tie. Where to pet sheep. Where to pet you in labor. Sheep average heart rate. Sheep lower heart rate. Sheep lower heart rate, no meds. Sheep prolapse harness. Prolapse harness directions. Is sheep ultrasound a thing? Sheep ultrasound near me. Can you feel lamb kick in utero? Induce labor you. Induce labor you no vet. What does lamb hoof look like? Lamb tongue pink good? Breech birth you. Breech birth you tips. How many hours breech birth you? Kill you save lamb. Kill lamb save you. Does petting you comfort? Do sheep keen? How to keep anything safe? So I think I have time for one more. I've got like a minute left. So I'll just do a really, really short one. And I'm going to do a math one because MP did a math one. So it's homeomorphism, which is a type of topology where you're mapping one shape into another shape by stretching it. And a donut in that case is the same as a torus. So I am equivalent to a man, much like a coffee mug is a donut, without cutting or gluing, just an atlas to stretch me with a function that maps my body as one of the acceptable charts. Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. Yes. I'm not going to ask right now what a sheep's prolapse harness is, but maybe later on I'll ask. Thank you. Next up, we have Hannah Larrabee.
Is my volume okay? Just want to make sure. Okay,
Yeah, you sound fine.
good. Happy to be reading for the marathon again. I always look forward to it. And this little segment with Timothy, MP, and Joey is fun. I do not have a math poem, sadly, because I can't even go there. So no math poem. This first one is called Womb. I left my relationship with the clouds and the palomino and the old sycamore. I left with my head down in shame in front of God and fell with both hands onto seaweed-slicked stones. Shocked, I looked up for some time at the sky. But when your heart is a fog, you simply can't see that far. And with a slow heart, I eat of the earth. And somewhere inside me, a river carving and carving, a river taking a new path home. I couldn't hold on to my life. I could only feed my dogs and love you in silence like a biennial flower, return to me and sometimes not at all. You who I could not soothe, even with the deepest love I had. It is not with great sadness then that I lose this womb, abandoned a long time ago. And yet I still asked it to echo like a chamber for my pleasure. And if this is it, a womb ruined, a word rescinded, a love galvanized, then tell me why you are so near to me in this strangeness of life. Any sharpness from you is a scythe, and I cannot grow back. This next one is called Blue Mussels, and I love mussels. I'm from Maine, we ate them all the time, but I love them in any kind of broth, really. This isn't about that, though, but I still love them. Blue mussels. They invoke the finest engineers. Seraphim, I mean the softer engines. We are robbing ourselves of imagination, thinking they are not thinking. They are pulling minerals from the ocean, stacking calcium carbonate like bricks. I'm not making anything of calcium carbonate, am I? I have no mother of pearl. What I'm saying is, inside the muscle shell, God is kept safe. I have the opposite task, really. I must close my eyes, let my hands go slack, let my voice join with other voices. I understand prayer is like this, but who am I keeping safe? I know the hunger of leaves, of mollusks. There is always food and this kind of mystery. It never ends. It never ends. Okay, this is the last one I'm going to read. In the distance, the Shenandoah Mountains remind me that silence is alive. My heartbeat louder in my left ear. Sunrise, and we are all in the hospitable zone of peace somehow. The sun in its fourth state churning so violently, all we get is light. And it is busy bluing these mountains. But it must find you far from me, which photosynthesis suggests is the distance you need to be. Love carried like sugar in our cells. Desire is just a thing sprouting inside my body because the good energy accumulates. I pull the silence up to my chin like a quilt. No birds this morning. I just can't live in a place without birds. Maybe that is all I have to say to these mountains that stay exactly where they are. Thanks.
Thank you, Hannah.
Mhm.
Yes, this is all great. And we're doing great for time and everything's great because it's poetry. So yay. Next up, we have Guy Dinolfo.
Hey everybody, thank you for having me. I'm really grateful to the team putting this all together, and really psyched to be here. This is my first year being here. So yeah, I'll start off and read some poems. So this first one is for a good friend of mine who passed away a couple of years ago from cancer. His name's Stephen Wagner. The title is Riding One of Your Unregistered Mopeds Through a Bucolic Town with a Groaning Exhaust to Buy Red Balloons. You raise an eyebrow, lower your voice and smile. Don't get caught. We need the largest possible bunch with the longest possible string to tie to the rail of your top floor deck. Then we set out for Mount Tom with Susan and a bottle of wine to see if we could spot the red bulb hovering in the valley. Though we'd forgotten the opener, I backed the cork into the bottle with a car key. Sitting on a patch of grassy ledge, we stared through binoculars. This was your move, to climb mountainside on time, look down into what it obscures in the tick-tock of our homes. You too would marry, father two girls just as cancer surfaced. But then it was just bits of cork floating in Dixie cups, the balloons beyond Summit's sight. You said, they still must be where we tied them together. All right. The next one, the poem I wrote for my son the day he was born. I thought about the fact that nobody gives presents on everyone's first birthdays. So this one's called Happy Birthday. Day one, opening eyes. Your first gift. The ocean Mama ballooned around your body, popped for telling your inside out, upside down, hours long evolutionary tumble from water to land. Deep, forceful breaths. A throated metamorphosis of air into your amniotic-filled lungs, the draining fluid absorbed by lymph and blood, vacating space for oxygen. Bewildering screams. I offer my index, though you can't see. Your chubby, wrinkled fist darts with ancient intuition to my warmth. You clutch my finger with all you've got. Your grip like a wound that will never heal. More screams say, do something more. I've brought no balloons, but I've installed your car seat, certified by the fire department. Okay, and then I'll check on time here too. I've got enough for one or two more short ones. I'll read at least one more from from a chapbook of mine that recently came out. It's a series of sonnets. And this one, it's about cancer treatment that I had gone through recently. And so this one was right before going in for surgery, and they give you these audio tapes to prepare mentally for it. So the first line of this is from a recording. The poem is called Dawn Chorus. And the quote I have at the beginning is, he had painted himself white hair. He had promised himself white hairs and long years, by Virgil. Envision yourself fully healed at a future date with loved ones. I picture family celebrating my 102nd birthday before falling asleep with headphones, listening to a guided meditation to prepare for post-surgery. Isn't that pushing it? A school of smiling orca rise headfirst from the sea to chime. You already had 18 years of childhood. Our calves only get 2. They hover and add. But we're the only mammals that have a longer post-reproductive life. They waver like shadows. I beg. What do you do with that life? Swim! The orca voices become a dawn chorus, streaming with blue morning light. As I wake, I remember. I have surgery today. A disconsolate feeling slides like a shadow, but disperses when I hear chirp, chirp, chirp. I wonder about the winter birds nesting outside my window. Why haven't they flown to warmer weather? And at what temperature might they freeze to death? Okay. I think that's it. Thanks, all. Appreciate it. Grateful to be here. Thank you, Lloyd. It's wonderful.
Yes, thank you, Guy. Thank you for that. Up next, we have someone who's going to be here all day, has been and will be very helpful, very helpful, very helpful, very helpful. Chad Parento.
Ugh, fucking hate that guy. Welcome, everyone. I am so glad you're here. Thanks to my co-organizers, and of course, thanks to all of you for making this work out. I am not going to do a math poem either because I've spent the last week dealing with percentages, quotas, benchmarks. Some of us have to do math for a living, you know? Bunch of casuals. Anyway, I am, give me just one sec. Oh, good. I am just going to do some short poems and then maybe hit fruit with a mallet at the end. I'm not sure. These are poems that appear in the journal Dada Cuckoo, which is an amazing journal that takes short poems. If you write more than 6 lines, you probably messed up and will not get accepted. This one's called Hall and Oates Quiet Quit. Easy, ready, willing, contracted hours complete. This one was my Valentine's poem for this year called Custom Candy Hearts. I over you. Eat, you are heart. Be gone. This next one's called Manufactured Dissent. Mandatory work survey. As an attention check, please choose disagree. What do I have next? Oh, yes. My O'Hara tribute, lunch scrap. Human Weeble has wobbled. O'Hara resumes, peeling orange. Centrist eulogy. Each limb a racing horse. He bet on middle. And I played around with AI, which helped produce this poem. Actually, I wrote the poem before I even played with the AI in terms of like art generator. I was happy that the art generator couldn't even come close to what I wanted. But this is called Trump AI Generates His Second Inauguration. Staring at open Bible with no words. He knew it. God's law, is whatever you want. Behind him, swift boat swifties dressed in handmaiden style, coats, blouses, buttoned to nape. Harem of doting daughters, great grab bags of grabbables, whole cabinet of non-disclosures. Blonde broken up by added spots of colored faces, hands in gnarled prayer, proof they weren't paid. He swears off to imagined duties under a dome of glass as strong as his faith in this divine design. And last poem I'll do, one of my crouton poems. I host Don't Sue Poetry every Wednesday night from 7 to 9, and I write a poem based on the open mic. This is my take. A lot of pulp fiction was referenced in one of the readings, thanks to John Wesick, who is an awesome poet and fiction writer you should seek out. This one's called Trash Ending. Don't read much about pregnancy and pulps. Once you have the kid, it's over. No more double entendre love one-liners. Face held together by constant bruises peels back like onion before every mirror. From movie victory to freak show relic, everyone you put away free to do to tampered evidence, improper procedure, excessive force. Then the child comes and both sun and ocean open inside your heart, somehow not bursting. Streetwise Gilgamesh has his own little monster. Feet permanently calloused from callous shadow dances. Partner buys chair in color of your retired gun's metal. From Manhunter to catch and release on Sundays, anniversary wine bottles open amongst milkweed. Every new taste on tongue a communion, turning your hard-boiled body back into flesh. Nothing happens outside when you die. Inside, a supernova-like eruption, heart water released. House left happily, haunted, mystery of a life well lived, at last, unsolved. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Chad Prento, who's a big help and part of the Boston Poetry Marathon Committee. And I'm looking at my icon and I can't see myself, but that's fine because I'm not reading. Next person up is Lloyd Schwartz. Where is Lloyd?
I'm here.
Yay. Okay, great.
I'm here, and thank you, Xtina and Chad and everyone else who's been running this marathon. I love it every year, and I just think it's one of the best poetry events around, and it's great to be part of it. I'm gonna read two poems. The first is a translation of a great 20th century Hungarian poet Attila József, and I'm calling it The Gardener's Song. In a garden of my own making, the trees and I will soon be waking. Shyly I'll while away the hours, planting seeds and tending flowers. And so I'll sow, and so I'll reap, planting in my sleep. So what if all the flowers are weeds? Don't all of us derive from seeds? I'll drink my milk and smoke my pipe till even my good name gets ripe. If danger's lurking all around, I'll plant myself inside the ground. We need this, east and west. We know this, know what's for the best. And if the world's too late to save, I'll plant a flower on its grave. And the other poem, it's in 3 parts, and Xtina, It's called leaves.
Okay.
1. Every October, it becomes important, no, necessary, to see the leaves turning, to be surrounded by leaves turning. It's not just the symbolism to confront in the death of the year your death, one blazing farewell appearance, though the irony isn't lost on you that nature is most seductive when it's about to die, flaunting the dazzle of its incipient exit, an ending that, at least so far, the effects of human progress, pollution, acid rain, have not yet frightened you enough to make you believe is real. That is, you know this ending is a deception, because of course nature is always renewing itself. The trees don't die, they just pretend, go out in style, and return in style, a new style. 2. Is it deliberate how far they make you go, especially if you live in the city, to get far enough away from home to see not just trees, but only trees? The boring highways, road signs, high speeds, 10-axle trucks passing you as if they were in an even greater hurry than you to look at leaves. So you drive in terror for literal hours, and it looks like rain or snow, but it's probably just clouds, too cloudy to see any color. And you wonder, given the poverty of your memory, which road had the most color last year. But it doesn't matter, since you're probably too late anyway, or too early. Whichever road you take will be the wrong one, and you've probably come all this way for nothing. 3. You'll be driving along depressed when suddenly a cloud will move and the sun will muscle through and ignite the hills. It may not last, probably won't last, but for a moment, the whole world comes to, wakes up, proves it lives. It lives. Red, yellow, orange, brown, russet, ochre, vermilion, gold, flame and rust. Flame and rust, the permutations of burning. You're on fire. Your eyes are on fire. It won't last. You don't want it to last. You can't stand anymore. But you don't want it to stop. It's what you've come for. It's what you'll come back for. It won't stay with you, but you'll remember that it felt like nothing else you felt, or something you felt that also didn't last. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd. And thank you for participating every year. Yeah, we like to make people happy. And for the record, I do like leaves. I like cows. I like nature, but I like to also sit on a public transportation bus while thinking of those things at the same time. Just to be clear. I haven't seen Kayla Cash in our waiting room, so if they don't speak up now, I'm going to go to our next person, which is Simeon Berry. I thought I did see. Yes.
I'm here.
Yay, there you are.
Sorry for the late entry. I just spent 40 minutes on the phone with my router company, trying to setting up my router from scratch in my network. So, but here I am. Thank you to Chad and Xtina for organizing this. It's a fantastic endeavor, and I'm very honored to be part of it. I'm just going to read a few poems. The first of which is entitled, "I instantly regretted asking my father if taking a freshman psychology course would be too dangerous for me and my glazed glass castle of a brain, like giving an arsonist a flamethrower, because his laughter was my answer. I mean, I could not bear to look at the twitchy copy of myself stamped in the bathroom mirror and agonized over whether or not to issue a tremulous hello to every stranger who passed on campus. But the DSM was not an arid Necronomicon sparkling nihilistically in the sweaty grasp of mental health professionals. In fact, many of them I would later meet had the defeated air of someone preparing to perform an autopsy on a balloon animal or going to war with origami weapons. But I had Russian novels and their smoldering tractors to explicate their gold infernos of wheat and sickly nicknames to shoulder. I sat nervously on the bench in the quad, looping like a ridged 45 record in the center of the basement gray brutalist architecture, oblivious to the rich implications of the ripped jean booty shorts I inherited from my brother, even after Gary commented on the niceness of my package and I looked quizzically at my empty hands. How I would come to cherish the despair of language and its abstract explosions. How I would stack it like gold bars or sticky plastique inside my skull for any system I found. In retrospect, I am horrified that I worshipped Lovecraft that freshman year, but it was my milieu. Now all the smart kids were different. Verbally dressed in the gauzy fetish gear of French theorists, a pocket of D&D dice like a deconstructed rosary, and the breathless air of being fresh off a thrift store heist. None of my clothes were retired or dead, and all my sci-fi gods moderately fascist Americans. Plus, I hated Florida's neon glaze, the tinny barbed wire twang of the inland Morlocks, the pucker of their airbrushed t-shirts displaying haikus of bad attitude. Just as HP shivered like an orchid in brawling New York, I flitted from class to class like a tattered tweed battle flag, withering listlessly above a field scarred by ringworm, swastika golf clubs, and refrigerator kitsch. So I ate the book of LSD in minute paper increments, small, plain pixels that tasted like footnotes, seeking more than the flushed evidence of flesh, trying to go bowling in astral lanes, dark and sepulchral as a desiccated movie theater underneath shriveled stars. But my only cosmos was the nexus of sweat that instantly twirled in pinpricks over my pallid torso as I walked outside to go buy a 4-pack of the mounded black leather snack cakes my mother always rejected with mournful horror when we were kids. The thing about drugs was that I did them badly. I winced to think of the tedious screensavers we watched while tripping in the dark of the dorm, the dipped marshmallow cookie that tasted glossy as electrical equipment, or the single page of the shoddy Camelot 3000 graphic novel I pored over, where Lancelot was reincarnated as a furious woman rampant on a field of swords, lasers, and roses when she finally gave in and bedded Guinevere. Shattering my gestalt every Saturday night certainly didn't help my inability to look at the silver mugshot of myself in the mirror. Outside the pocket universe of our gimmicky hallucinations, other students were dropping Foucault, Lacan, Hegel, Derrida into conversations with studied nonchalance, and I was wishing I could major in Druid studies with a minor of Chomsky, muttering like a gnome. Sustenance was a lattice of $2 ramen and boiling water, or $4 pizzas with tutti frutti crust. I sent my father a mixtape that was 40% Roger Waters' Pink Floyd with an unspoken footnote. Dearest Papa, in case you can't tell, I do drugs now. I wasn't sure whether or not to say hello to people when I passed them on the quad, but freely gabbled about Rosicrucians to my long-suffering Buddhist professor without actually asking him a single question. I couldn't manage the grammar of the self. I dutifully watched the weekend black and white lesbian film, even though it featured interminable passages from Saint Teresa of Avila exhorting us not to be disturbed by anything, and extended footage of beluga whales twisting like polymorphous erasers in the deep. I would say something about longing and depth of field. I would look up Chiaroscuro when I got back to my room. Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Simeon. Yes, you are. It's always good to look forward to you year after year. Yes, yes. So fortunately, last but not least, and I know she's got a book out, she might mention it. Joanna Furman.
Yeah, I will mention I have a book out. I was gonna share like a section divider. I was gonna share the screen maybe. Let's see if I can do this. Look at this is a meme from the book. Okay, I'll stop that. And then I'll read some prose poems from this book, which is all about the internet. But Are you the invisible song that was playing? To wear a blindfold in the algorithmic state, one must trust that the crowd is closer to a mosh pit than an ocean. One morning, your glass of orange juice is replaced by a beacon of sunlight, and from then on, the square of sadness you carry in your pocket feels heavier. When I was a data point, I posted to a forum a question about the effects of perimenopause, and when the answers came back, I trembled in their presence. My love of the internet was like my love of the city. In each, I wandered underground, smelling of pomegranates and hemorrhoid cream. Yesterday on the subway, I overheard a woman with a voice like a cartoon parrot complaining of her Macy's coworker's purchase of a thong for clubbing. The picture showed just what it is, a sack for your dick and balls. So I'll just read 2 more poems. Just have to pick which ones. Okay. These 6 emojis explain your life right now. I know how to wrap myself in other people's mishigas. All morning, I read about the woman from Louisiana who can't stop her son from hiding under the bed. A man in South Korea learning to fish in a hotel bathtub. A child across town who swallowed a whole marshmallow shaped like the Guggenheim. I take screenshots of these strangers' problems and blend them into a banana kale smoothie, drink it from a wine glass with my naked ass deeply sunk in a silk pillow. Afterwards, my body is a pink cloud with winged sneakers. I hover above the data, ran down gossip and other people's pain. This is a kind of freedom, but also what? A kind of tragic happiness, like that cowboy who thinks he can lasso transcendence and tie it to his belt buckle? Or like that photo of the lake on fire your student posted as their Grindr pic, or at least claimed he did. Like everything else, you'll never actually know. I'll just read one more. So actually, Douglas, who's hiding behind stuffed animals, helped me with the title, though I don't think he actually ever heard this poem. So I was like just talking to him about being stuck on the title. And anyway, so Poetica Fondant. I baked a cake in the shape of a moon, and no one could tell what was a cake and what was the moon. When I cut it open, it tasted like overly sweetened watermelon tea and smelled like the shadow of the leaves on a lake. I loved it, but then the bloggers arrived complaining that my baking was bougie. So I crafted a cake in the shape of my face. It had curly hair, glasses, and an open mouth that could keep talking even when no one was listening. In my big marble cake nose, I hid my people's struggles, the escape from the pogroms and the years of overly salty chicken. I loved that cake too, but was ashamed to admit it. I had read that identity politics was just the cream filling of neoliberalism. So I baked a cake that was messy like New York. I cut it open and rode the subways inside, eating my way through dirty, glistening sidewalks like a hungry Frank O'Hara. But that was the year everyone claimed to be Frank O'Hara, even those numbskulls who hated modern art. So I baked a cake shaped like the internet, and when I cut it open, everyone who tasted it said it tasted just like the internet. And I kept eating it and eating it and eating it in a kind of durational performance until the cake itself was the internet, and I myself, the somewhat delicious crumbs. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. Everyone claimed to be Frank O'Hara. Yes, yes. Today it's Emily Dickinson, but that's okay. Thank you, everyone who read in this hour. Quick. Timothy Gager, MP Carver, Joey Gould, Hannah Larrabee, Guy Dinalfo, Chad Parento, Lloyd Schwartz, Simeon Berry, and Joanna Furman. Next hour and 4, we have Clay Bontree, Ariella Ruth, Philip Hasoris, Sarah Pearlstein, Simeon John, Holy Goren, Ed Godot, Joe Elliott, and Susanna Mercury, previous person on the Boston Poetry Marathon. Join us at 4. Yes. Yay, everybody. You can clap for yourself. You're allowed to. Yay. We're still live, so behave yourself.